Hey everybody, it's Dr. Carpenter here. So I've done a couple of previous videos where we talked about just the surge in coronavirus cases in Chattanooga. And in the last video, we talked about just some plans for things to do so that you prevent yourself from getting sick. How do you avoid getting it? That's the best case scenario. And I promised that I would do another video, and that's what we're going to do today, where we talk about, well, what if you do get sick? What do you do? What are some options so that maybe it isn't as bad as it has to be? Maybe you get through it faster. How do you get well? So I'm going to talk about 3 different things that I would recommend doing if you do get it. These are 3 things that I'm going to do if I get it. And then I'm going to talk about 3 additional things. Maybe if you're someone who's really at risk of having some of the breathing complications, some of the worst parts of this virus, I'm going to talk about 3 things to consider for that scenario. And I want to also share one of the newer things that we're understanding about how this virus is working that we just didn't know before. So it's pretty interesting stuff. So let's jump into 3 things to do if you get sick. And again, this is what I'm going to do if I get sick. So the first thing, antiviral supplements. Pick one. You could do 2, but at least pick 1. I've picked 3 that I'm going to share with you. One of them you've probably heard me talk about because I talk about it all the time. It's called Agricept. I have had really good luck with it with other types of viruses, okay? And the way you would take this is 5 drops in water as a dose, but if you're getting sick, this is kind of an acute thing. It takes a lot of doses, right? So frequency. I would take it every 30 minutes for the first day that I'm just starting to have symptoms. So high doses is one key. The second key is the timing. You want to nail this as soon as you think you're getting sick. The moment I think I'm getting a sore throat or I'm getting kind of an achy back, my energy just took a really big nosedive, those are signs to me that I'm getting sick. And so I will start what I call the 30-minute plan. And I literally get my phone, I set a timer for 30 minutes, and I take a dose of this every 30 minutes that I'm awake. Now, I don't get up, all through the night. But that first day, high dosing really helps to shut it down. And you could just be done. I have had that happen. I have had the flu for 2 or 3 hours. Now, if you still are sick after the first day, I would drop the dose down on this. Maybe you take it 6 times, 8 times a day, something like that, but do not stop until you're well. And it may feel like it's not working because I'm still sick. I promise you it would be way worse if you weren't taking it. And I know that from experience because I got frustrated once. I was sick, I quit taking it, and then I really got sick. So this is something we have in the office. It's not expensive. It's like $25. I've got plenty. If you need some, come get it before you need it. If you can't get to us, can't get that, don't like it, whatever, I've picked 2 other antivirals, and I picked these 2 because there is information in the literature that these 2 have had some effectiveness against other corona-type viruses, okay? So one of them is just called oil of oregano. I like the Designs for Health brand. I've been using it for 12 years. These gel caps seem to work better than any of the other ones or the drops that other people have tried. I hear that consistently from people who've tried both. So oil of oregano is another good antiviral. And the third one, Rutinia, okay? And both of these are ones that you can get on Fullscript on the online dispensary that we use in my office. So if you want to get that from the online store, you can. The only exception, they do not carry the Agricept. If you want that, you've got to get it from my office, okay? So those are 3 supplements. Have at least one of them on hand. Take it, high doses frequently, at least the first day. You can back off after that. That's the number 1 thing. The second thing, in the event that I'm going to get sick, I'm going to take some zinc or elderberry lozenges, right? So this virus sort of sets up in the nasal passages and in the throat. And so by using a lozenge, we're trying to kind of deliver a sustained dose of zinc, which inhibits the virus. It stops it from replicating, which is a great thing. It gets it to those tissues pretty well, right? So something like this is what I'll be using. There are other options, but just look for zinc or zinc and elderberry lozenge. The first sign of a cold or flu of the coronavirus, you're going to take pretty high doses, like every 2 hours, you'll have a lozenge until it's gone. But in the first day or two, if you feel like it really is giving you some relief, you could take it every hour, okay? One of the lozenges. Now, I've got one more treatment thing I want to talk to you about, but before I talk to you about what this third thing is, I want to back up and I want to talk about one of the complications that's happening with this coronavirus, this new one. And it's different from other SARS-related viruses we've seen before. It has to do with the trouble that we have breathing and the low oxygen. We already kind of understood it affects the lungs, but it's a multi-organ illness, right? It also affects the heart, it affects the liver, it affects the kidneys. These are tissues that have high numbers of the ACE2 receptors, and that's how this virus gets into your cells and infects them. That's the doorway, is the ACE2 inhibitor. But guess what else has a lot of ACE2 inhibitors? Your blood system, right? The arteries, the veins. So it's really becoming, it's a blood problem. That's a new understanding that we're having. And that may explain why the low oxygen, why the trouble breathing, because you make a lot of little blood clots and it gets into your lungs and it kind of stops you from being able to get the oxygen into the blood and around your body. And so this whole new layer is something we're seeing now, why the blood clots are forming, why people have trouble with breathing and having low oxygen levels. So we're going to talk about, the next thing we're talking about are going to help with this piece. So the third treatment that I'm definitely going to be doing if I get sick is FSM, frequency specific microcurrent. And my patients know what this is because it's one of the really common natural non-invasive tools that we use for healing in my office. We use these little units, okay, for frequency specific microcurrent. And we've had really good luck with viruses in the past. Things like the pain from shingles can be gone in like 2-hour treatments instead of taking weeks and weeks for that to go away. So we've had good luck with other viruses. And for this particular virus, we've created new programs that help deal with some of the fallout, right? So it helps support you if you're getting a virus. I'm not going to tell you it cures it, but it's going to support you, help you get through it faster. We also have put in some frequencies that will help support the blood vessels, right? We talked about the other organs that it affects. So it supports the lungs, the kidneys, the liver, the heart. So all of that support is in this frequency treatment that we've created for this particular virus. And so that's an option too. Now, if you are one of my patients and you get this, you're probably not going to feel well enough to call and talk to us. But someone who's helping you, have them call and I will walk you through how we can get this done. Okay, you're not going to feel like coming in. I have another way that we can work with this. So you call the office if you need me. Okay. Now, for everybody else, I've got 3 other options of things that you can just do at home, whether you're a patient of mine or not. Okay. If you're worried about the breathing complications, the low oxygen issues, if you know you're at risk for that, one of these will really help. Okay. The first one is something called glutathione. You get it as a supplement. And there was a news report about a woman who really was having severe trouble breathing. And in the article they wrote, after one 2,000 milligram dose, the family of this woman's family witnessed a miracle. Within an hour, her breathing dramatically improved and she continued the glutathione for 5 days. She never had a relapse of her breathing problems. Glutathione is a great supplement. Lots of people use it for a number of reasons. It is already known to help people with asthma. So if you're worried, have some glutathione on hand and you can take higher doses. It may take, to read the bottle, it may take multiple capsules or the liposomal pumps to get you a higher dose that would help the breathing. So that's one option. Another supplement that you can do at home that could really help with breathing and really just all of the blood vessel effects we just talked about is something called Cyruta. There's Cyruta and there's Cyruta Plus, okay? The critical component in this is something called rutin. And rutin it's really involved with like the whole vitamin C, not just like kind of a synthetic like ascorbic acid that we think of as vitamin C, but rutin and what Cyruta does, Plus does, is it really supports all of your blood vessels, keeps them from getting damaged, keeps them from leaking fluid into your lungs, right? So we already have been using Cyruta Plus for a long time for anyone who's at risk of stroke, heart disease, maybe they have bleeding gums or varicose veins. It just helps support your blood vessels. So that could also come in handy. One more thing, something you get from the drugstore, and I don't usually recommend this, okay? But a new study is coming out. This was first released like on May 26th, suggesting that naproxen, which is an NSAID, it's usually called a Aleve, actually inhibits viral growth, which is a good thing with this virus. It keeps it from growing, and it inhibits clotting. And we just talked about how the blood clotting is partly why we're seeing all these complications with the breathing and the oxygen. So the study says between 200 and 250 milligrams taken twice a day would be a good way to prevent the complications. So it's something that for this purpose, short term, I'm okay recommending it. But what you have to know is that naproxen, Aleve, has a long list of potential side effects. And in particular, it can lead to food intolerances and autoimmune issues. And in my office, we already deal with those things all the time. So if you're going to use Aleve, I would only use it short term during an illness. I would not use it preventatively. Pretty much everything else I've talked about, you could use preventatively. You don't have to wait to get sick, and it would still really help you and prevent things. The Aleve, the naproxen, I would only do it if you actually have COVID, okay? So I hope that this kind of walkthrough of some real things you can do for yourself at home or by calling my office helps you feel like, okay, if I get sick, I know what I'm going to do, and that takes some of the fear and the worry out of what's happening in the world right now. So I want you just to have some peace of mind, feel good about what we're doing, know what you're going to do if you get sick. All right, call me if you need any help. Call the office. I'm here, and don't get sick. Take care. All right, bye, you guys.